Hello, this is Atulia K. Bingham from themudhome.com, and today I'm banging on about composting toilets because it's 2021 and I can't quite believe I'm still having to have this conversation. I'm also getting a little bit bored of being shamed, or people trying to shame me, middle class people with flush toilets usually, as though I'm some dirty scuzzy hippie for having a composting toilet, when you know what? I'm not the dirty one, as I'm about to show you. And number three, there's a other really important reason, is that I think in the next few years it's going to become extremely important that people understand how to hygienically and regeneratively and safely deal with their waste. So yeah, that's why this video is out. It's the whole story on composting toilets. Now get ready. There it is. Whoa, nothing to see, actually, as you see, perfectly clean, nothing to see. And if you were here, you would know there's nothing to smell either. And that's because the composting toilet doesn't use any water. Let me explain how mainstream toilets work. So, pathogens in the poop, that's the bad stuff, you know, pathogens. They want any environment that mimics the body, the warm and the wet, particularly the wet. So when you send your poop into a sewage pipe full of water, drinking water to boot, you pollute a nice lot of drinking water into the bargain, and you send that down a sewage pipe. It's now in an environment where those pathogens are super happy, and you turn it into a fetid, disgusting mess that needs a sewage plant to neutralise, which uses chemicals, is an eco-disaster, and uses a bunch of fossil fuels to run in the process. As I said, I am not the scuzzing one. However, this one though, now this is a very simple example of a composting toilet. This is a temporary toilet. You can make them really beautiful. I've seen some beautiful ones, but this is a temporary one, so I didn't want to waste time. And it's also a good example of how simple it is, so that people can see. All it is a bucket here, which you poop in, and then you add, this is very important, you add aggregate. Now the aggregate, if I show you over here, is actually, well, I don't know if you can see that, it's wood. I'm using wood shavings from when I'm cutting wood, basically sawdust, wood shavings. You could also use wood ash, is excellent, dry leaves, coconut coir, any of those things. It needs to be dry carbon, and that is because the bacteria, the good bacteria that are digesting and neutralizing all the pathogens and breaking down the poop in general, they want a mixture of nitrogen and carbon, and our human waste is full of nitrogen, so we have to add the carbon. There should be zero smell. I think people use some cack-filled disaster at a festival and think that's a toilet, you know, that's a composting toilet. No, well, it is a composting toilet, but a composting toilet shouldn't smell. If it's smelling, it's because the bacteria that are breaking down everything are hungry. They want more carbon. So the solution is you add more aggregate. One question that comes up a lot is, should I separate the urine? You don't have to, in my opinion, at all. I'm in a cool, wet climate now. If you're in a warm, dry climate, I don't even recommend separating, because the bacteria actually do need some moisture to do their job. But if you're in a cool, damp climate, then maybe you want to, but you don't have to. And I do. So I pee in there and I poop in there. And that is because I want to use the urine on my trees, because the urine is nitrogen heavy and the trees love it. And I'm so sorry if that offended some delicate people. But I'm not the dirty one, and this is how you start to produce and use your waste in a way that doesn't involve any chemicals and is beneficial to the environment. So I don't need agrochemicals on my trees because I'm using something that they like a lot better, and something that everything in the environment likes a lot better. Okay, so I'm now going to show you what happens to that poop later on. Welcome to my poop pile. Now your poop needs a year to completely break down. That's how long it takes to neutralize, for the bacteria to totally destroy all the pathogens in it. There's only one pathogen that can survive over a year, and that is ringworm, for your information. So unless you are unless you're thinking for some reason you have ringworm, then you have nothing to worry about after a year. And if you're in a warm climate, I should say, then it's going to take a lot less. In Turkey, I think we only needed 6 months max, really. It was so warm. This is 6 months in. You can see it's already not poop anymore. It's become like peat, okay? It's wonderful. I'm going to touch it, you see, because it's not poop anymore. It's already been turned into a beautiful manure substance. Not even manure, it's like peat. It smells amazing. There's nothing, it's like gold now, gardener's gold, that. But I will wait another 6 months just to be on the safe side. Now, there are a lot of things out there that seem to be a good idea, and then we learn later on that you know, they're depriving an orangutan of its habitat, or a child in some other country has to mine it. This isn't the case with the composting toilet. No billionaires earn any money. That is probably why it's still not mainstream, and people are still kind of shaming us apparent hippies. So yeah, it's extremely regenerative. Anybody in any country could do this, and this could become very important in the future. It requires no money at all. You don't need anything, as you can see. If you don't want to do the carrying thing, you don't want to be putting it in a bucket and carrying it around, then you just make 2 boxes. One for the summer, one for the winter, which is how I did it in Turkey, and fill them up. And maybe you want to stick a hoe in every now and again and give it a turn, or do what I do, which is send my chickens in. They're very good at that job. And they'll do it for you. Now, there's a question I get a lot from the folk in Asia, Middle East, North Africa, and maybe some other places that I don't know. But there are 2 kinds of people in the world. Those that clean their bum after they poop, and those that don't. I can hear all the people in Asia now going, it should be fair to Europe, because there's some and some in Europe, but there's an idea floating that you can't do that if you have a composting toilet. That's nonsense, okay? Unless you're throwing gallons of water down it, then there's no reason why you shouldn't use a bidet with your composting toilet. If you're particularly worried about it being too wet, just separate the urine, like I do, and then you've already got a pretty dry substance that you know, if you throw a bit of water in there, it doesn't matter anyway. So that shouldn't be a reason not to make a composting toilet. If it's managed properly, there's no adverse effect. Now, I've got my poop pile open, and that's because there's just me here and 3 chickens who don't care, and sometimes some cows, and they don't care. So, and I've got enough space, you know, I'm not sharing this with a massive amount of people. But if you were in an urban environment or there's a lot of people per square meter or per square whatever, if that's an issue, then what you would do is you would create a box, like a composting box, you know, just the same, and fill it. So you wouldn't leave it open like this. You know, you don't want your kids playing in it, for example, do you? I don't have those, so that's not a problem. Yeah, you just want a box. That's it. That's the solution to that. So I really do hope that somebody makes a composting toilet as a result of this, because it's the one thing I definitely care about. As I said, I think it's going to become quite important that people know how to do that in the future. So all the information and how to make a composting toilet, I have made 2 posts at www.themudhome.com, and I will put the links, as always, in the show notes below, and you can see exactly how it's done. All the information is there for you. So good luck, folks.